I want to talk to y'all out here that's actually battling right now, saving money. I think a lot of us out here today done started a thing of like basically bad habits, bad spending habits, bad habits of just gotta have everything, bad habits of just loaning money out, bad habits of being used. Whereas though you not understanding why that people keep calling on you for money. I think we at a time now where as though people gotta understand money. And a lot of us don't understand money because a lot of us not raised to respect money. And I also heard from someone, I can't quite quote them, but I remember they said they don't respect money because they can still get it. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you go by that model, you will be broke. You gotta respect money. I'm gonna tell you why. Money is not everything, but money is the resources to end up helping you get ahead to wherever you're trying to do. You gotta have those type of funds to be able to get ahead. And the reason why I say that is because right now I realize that when like for instance, how many of you right now have change? Like a bunch of change. I end up turning change in that I have for over, oh man, maybe 4.5 to 5 years. That's one starters right there. I end up turning change in, and I end up having to pay, I believe, maybe 10%. I think it was like 10% of the change that I end up turning over to. I'm about to say over to cash, but it is cash. I end up turning over into my bank account. And what end up happening is they use the change machine. Do the change machine. And when I end up turning the change in, I'm gonna be real with you. I had what, 3 jugs? It's like 3 jugs. And those 3 jugs, I used to think nothing about them until one day I realized that I ended up picking up this duffel bag. It was like a old raggedy duffel bag. Man, I went to pick it up and said, God damn. I was like, yo, what in the world? I opened it up. Yo, it was a bunch of change. I must have dumped all this change inside the duffel bag. That was the day I was like, yo, I gotta go change this over. Like put this in a bank. And I did not know how much it was. I thought maybe about, I don't know. In my mind, I was thinking $100. Well, little did I know that joint was around about 300 something dollars. Now, mind you, think about this. You got 300 and something dollars in the house that you don't even know is in the house. And the reason why is because it's change. And a lot of us do go over, like we look at our change as it's nothing. And I used to think of that. Like some people, like no offense, we do. I know it's a lot of us. We have a quarter. A quarter is a little bit more respectable. I don't know why, because you got the 4 quarters, you got $1. But when you start getting down to the pennies and the nickels, they're kind of like in the drawer. They all over the place. Where I started making a jug. I started using old coffee containers, and I slid a hole through it for change, and I started dropping change in there. And then next thing you know, they got to a point where them joints started getting like real heavy, and I'm like, damn, what I mean, not real heavy to the point I can't lift it, but they're heavy. And then next thing you know, you don't even realize it until you think about it and say, yo, let me go change this change in. Because I never thought about put my change in. I just be like, every once in a while I might go hit the thing up and grab a couple quarters out if I'm going to a car wash. But then I started doing an automatic car wash off my credit card. Make a long story short, this is how I started noticing. I started seeing certain things with people when they talk about change. Because when you look up people with turning in change, they let you know that, yo, certain things that you don't really think about, you end up like, wait a minute, I got a nice amount I got a couple $100, 3, 4. I seen one lady said she paid for her daughter's college. She had change for, I think, she said she started the change thing since she was little. So I don't know how old her daughter was, but when you kind of think about that, that kind of makes sense. Because I was hitting my change thing up every once in a while to check out money, and next thing you know, I still end up turning it in, and I end up having a little over 300 and something dollars. Something to think about. Also, spare money. Like, one thing I learned, and I had to learn this the hard way. You start putting money, like if you, say for instance, like you get paid. You take out maybe a good $100, 150, put it in your wallet. And what you do is limit yourself from using your credit cards or your debit cards and start using that cash. What's going to end up happening, trust and believe me, and I'm telling you, you will start looking at money different, because when you're going through your $150 or whatnot, you'll start to pick up that, damn, I didn't even realize I spent $80 already. You'll start to be more cautious of the money you spend when you're actually using cash. I stopped using cash, but now I'm back using, because I realized that sometimes, man, using your debit card, it can kind of trigger something to make you feel like, oh, I'm gonna be more cautious, but nah, it don't. After a while, you start to actually feel like you're using a credit card, even though it's your money. And then when you look at your account, you're like, damn, how much I spent? You're like, damn, I spent a nice amount. That's why you start to see a lot of people's bank accounts withdrawing, like they end up overspending, not having rent money, not having their mortgage money. You know, that's something that I think a lot of us need to actually be mindful of. You know, another thing that I picked up on, how I spend on kids. Now, this is something I think a lot of people need to be mindful of, and I fell short on this. I used to always buy my son everything that he asked for. Everything. And then it gets to a point where as though you can't quite do that. You cannot buy them every single thing. And I'm going to tell you why. What tends to happen is they start to develop a habit, whereas though every time they see something, they want it. They're never satisfied. And then next thing you know, it's like, wait a minute, I just bought you this. And then next thing you know, they break it. They're never satisfied. So you definitely want to build up a habit to make your kids understand that everything that they do, they don't always get rewarded off of everything that they do. Because every time somebody's good at something, or they like, oh, I made out, like I did this, I did that. And next thing you know, you sitting there and you trying to be like, wait a minute, if I just bought you this toy last week, why are you asking for another one? And then their reply is, well, I don't have this color. You get what I'm saying? Like, people have to also build up a foundation in their head to say, yo, you're not reliving your childhood. You cannot be out here, well, I ain't never had this. I want to make sure my kid has everything. You're dumb. You're dumb. Stop. You don't want to build up your child to start thinking that everything in life deserves a reward. Everything in life is not a reward. And then when they become older, you wonder why they become spoiled brats and very ignorant to life. Because then they'll start to find out real life does not reward you through every obstacle. Alright? So you definitely want to start to think like that. You want to. I can't tell you what to do. But I can tell you now, just being around certain kids and just even dealing with my own, I had to start to recondition my kid to stop thinking like that. And people think that you can't stop them. Yes, you can. It's a behavior. It's a behavior situation where as though they start to think that every time they did something good, they got something last time. So they keep thinking, oh, I was good this week in school. Do I get a reward? Not every time. Not every time. Also, stop being reckless over purchasing all these damn subscriptions. Yo, I looked up my subscriptions of what I had when it comes to Netflix, Hulu, what else? Disney. I forgot, it was a couple other ones. Yo, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I watch Netflix, I watch Amazon. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I did not know that I was still paying for Disney. I didn't know I was still paying for Hulu. And I was also paying another thing that was what? Max. I had to cancel 3 of them. Why? Did not know I was paying for them. Wasn't even watching them. You know what tends to happen? They start to put shows on one channel, or should I say one TV-based station, whatever how you want to put it. One platform, they'll put something on. You'll purchase it because you want to see it. Next thing you know, they don't have it on the next thing, so you purchasing that. Next thing you know, they got another thing coming out. You purchase that. Next thing you know, you got goddamn 5, 6, 7, 8 subscriptions, and you paying way more than cable. You pay your internet, which is around $100, $110, $120. Has nothing to do with your cable. That's your streaming. Right after streaming, what? You got all these watchable shows that you ain't even watching now. You know why? Because if you watching all these shows, that means you ain't doing nothing. That means you wasting all your time when you are off, like when you off of work, and you just, that's what you're doing. So I'm letting you know right now, eliminate a lot of that overhead. All right? Peace. And hopefully that'll be able to save y'all money if y'all, you know what I mean, follow my method. But at the same time, you could do whatever the hell you want to do. Boo, boo, stay broke. No joke.